Good afternoon. It is Thursday. It is a thriving Thursday. Of course, it is with Jennifer Yon Agency, but it is also time for success. Today is going to be a very awesome day. There is so much going on with Jennifer Yon Agency and with IBA Success that I am excited to share with you how you can follow me throughout the day, how you can hear from candidates that are running in this next election, how you can network with business owners. The opportunities on the Jennifer Yon Agency platform today are amazing. So if you are a leader, if you are an elected official, if you are a candidate, if you are a nonprofit organization or an entrepreneur, have a seat, share this video, tag friends, because I am going to share some amazing opportunities and for you to not only hear what is happening in Central Florida, but to also be a part of it. So we are going to kick off another series. This is the race for great seats with great leaders. This is our political series race with IBA Success Magazine, Thriving Success. It's all happening right here today. So I want to tell you a little bit about today's schedule, because if you're just tuning in, this is one of the first interviews, the live interviews that I will be doing today. But I do have another one coming with another candidate at 2 p.m. I will be on WOKB at noon speaking with more candidates that's in race. But at 7 o'clock tonight, check it out, 7 o'clock tonight, I am hosting a leadership dinner at Bar 5 Lounge and Grill, where there will be some meet and greets, some networking, and some amazing soul food. So I will also share the link on how you can attend this event. This will be an intimate dinner, so there is limited space available. There is a couple of free tickets out there, as well as some VIP tickets that include dinner and unlimited champagne. So stay tuned. Follow me. Follow Jennifer Yon Agency throughout the day. But I am not going to continue without bringing on our special guest for this Thriving Thursday / Lifetime Success. Welcome, Representative Geraldine Thompson. Thank you so much for taking time out of this busy campaign to speak with our listeners, viewers today. How are you?
I am well, and thank you for the invitation this morning.
Yes, ma'am. We have been pulling together at IBA Success the Leadership Edition, which means we have been talking one-on-one with lots of leaders. You have a track record for leadership that I want to talk to you about today, as well as what seat you are currently running for.
Yes, I have been in the Florida Legislature now for 14 years. I was initially elected to the Florida House in 2006, and I served there until 2012. I ran for the Florida Senate in 2012 and was elected to the Senate. And I served there until 2016. I had a 2-year break, and then I ran to come back to the legislature in House District 44, where I'm serving currently. I was elected to the House District 44 seat in 2018 and reelected in 2020. And now I am running to go back to the Senate seat that I left. The current senator is running for Congress, so the seat is open. And there is a lot of unfinished business that needs to be taken care of. So Senate District 15 is the seat that I'm running for now.
And for ones that are not quite sure, what does that encompass? Where and what neighborhoods and zip codes, if you can share to really educate our voters that, hey, you are in their area.
If you live in Winter Garden, if you live in Ocoee, if you live in Pine Hills, if you live in Washington Shores, if you live in downtown parts of Paramore, if you live in Apopka, if you live in Zellwood, Tangerine, if you live in Eatonville, if you live in the Dr. Phillips area, those are the areas within Senate District 15.
That is a large area. And definitely just being a person that sits back and observe, leadership is needed. Strong leadership and experience is needed in that seat. What makes you different from the other candidate that is running?
Well, I have been willing to stand up and to take some strong positions and to take on some particular challenges. For example, in 2020, the community asked the current representative for Ocoee, she's the other candidate in this race, to assist them to get a portion of Silver Star dedicated as the Julius July Perry Memorial Highway. She declined. I think people know that Julius July Perry was lynched in 1920 because he wanted to vote, and he lived in Ocoee and was taken to the county jail in Orlando. But a mob followed, took him out of the jail, and hung him. So this was a man who sacrificed a lot, and the community wanted to honor his legacy, his contributions, and his memory 100 years after his death in 2020. And their representative said no. I took it on, filed the bill, worked with the community, and got the road designated for Julius July Perry. On the day that the markers were put down, and on the day that they were unveiled, there were almost 200 people that came. They were very excited, and the representative for that district did not attend. And so, what makes me different is that I'm willing to take on challenges like the Ocoee road designation, getting the history of the Ocoee massacre in the curriculum. I also filed legislation to exonerate the Groveland Four, and it took 7 years to get that done. It finally happened last year. I also filed a lawsuit against the governor because we are all bound by the law. And I wanted to make sure that the independence of the judiciary was protected. So, what makes me different is that I'm willing to stand up, I'm willing to show up, I'm willing to do the work, and I'm willing to take on the hard challenges.
Yes, wow. So your reputation has spoken for itself. You have done a lot of things currently, in the past, and you're still doing the work. I've heard lots of voters say, you know, they hear from the elected officials and the candidates, and when it's time to vote. What would your response be for that, with really being in the community after the vote on the 23rd?
I have always had town hall meetings. I've met with members of the city councils of every city within the Senate district. I meet with them generally after the legislative session to tell them what happened in Tallahassee and to tell them how my work benefited them, or the work that I did to attempt to benefit them. Sometimes it works successfully, sometimes not. And so people know me, and I'm accessible. I make sure that I attend community events. I'm a member of the West Orange Chamber of Commerce. I attend that luncheon, events that people invite me to. And then I am in the churches, I am in the businesses, so that I am visible and I'm active, and people know that they can talk to me wherever they see me with regard to what their interests are.
Yes. So tonight you will be in bar 5. You will be open for questions, for meet and greet, at the dinner from 7 to 9, our leadership dinner. You mentioned that you are accessible. If a person has questions or they are unsure, who they're going to vote for, what is the best way that they can communicate with you to get their questions answered?
I have a website, and they can find out more about my campaign at electgeraldine.com. Electgeraldine.com. That's one way to reach me. If
Okay.
they have a legislative issue that they want to talk to me about, they can contact my legislative office, which is Geraldine.Thompson at myfloridahouse.gov. So those are two ways that they can get in touch with me. One is the campaign arm, and the other is the legislative arm, because I'm still doing that job. Uh, excuse me. As the legislator, I'm now working to strengthen our laws related to the safety of amusement rides. And I know that the community is aware that Tyree Sampson, a 14-year-old young man who came to Orlando for spring break, fell 400 feet from the free fall ride on International Drive. I represent that area. I represent Disney, Universal, iDrive, the resort hotels, etc. And I'm writing a law already. That's going to be the first bill that I introduce when I go back, is the Tyree Sampson law that will specify the kind of signage that is needed at amusement parks to indicate the height and weight restriction. Tyree was 14 years old, a five-star athlete, a 4.0 student. Uh, Even though he's 14, he weighed over 300 pounds, and he was over 6 feet tall. The manufacturer's guidelines for that ride said no one over 250 pounds should be allowed on the ride. So I want signage regarding height and weight restriction. I want training for people who operate these rides. The 17 and 18-year-olds who were working on the ride had only been trained 3 weeks before they allowed Tyree on the ride. We had, through the Florida Department of Consumer Services, which is part of the Florida Department of Agriculture, we had inspected the ride in December and issued a permit to allow the ride to open in January. And between January and March, when Tyree came to Orlando, someone adjusted the seats on the ride. They wanted to allow more room for larger people to ride. But because they made those adjustments, the harness that goes over the shoulder didn't lock in properly, and Tyree fell to his death. So I want people to know that they can come to Orlando, enjoy the amenities here, and to know that there's oversight and that there is scrutiny, and that we take everyone's health and safety and welfare. That's our top priority. And I'm working on the Tyree Sampson bill. So I'm still doing the work of the legislator at the same time that I'm a candidate for the state Senate.
Wow. So your desk is very busy right now.
Yes, my desk is very busy.
Yes. How do you balance with all of this? You have very important roles. You're protecting the community, and you have been doing this for a long time. So a person like me only look to grow and learn from leadership like yourself. What is your advice to small businesses or balancing all of these tasks?
Well, one of the most important things is to have good staff. There's no way that I could do all of the things that I do alone. And so I have good staff on the political side. I have great staff on the legislative side. So you're going to need support, and you want to screen people who are going to work as a team, who are also going to be receptive to the community. I get a lot of constituent calls about problems that they're experiencing. And so my team then goes to work, if it's a state agency, contacting the state agency to see how we can resolve the problem. I also have a family. I am a wife, I'm a mother, and I am a grandmother. I have three children, and each of my children, they're all adults, have two children, two girls. And the most recent addition to our family was in April of this year, and we got another set of two granddaughters, and this time all at one time. So we have twins. identical twin girls that were born in April. And so I make time to stay connected to my family, to my community, to my church, to my civic organizations, because I have the right kind of staff and the right kind of support that allows me not to be so stressed, because I know that I can delegate and feel confident that things are going to get done.
You know, you have said some powerful things, teamwork, family, community, are all amazing traits of leadership. In the next edition that is going to be released with IBA Success Magazine, you have a story. Your story is there. You're talking about leadership. You're talking about your background. If you are just watching and tuning in, you want to share this video. You want to tag your friends, especially if they live in the areas of Winter Garden, Ocoee, Pine Hills, Washington Shores, Paramore. You named a list. So your area is a huge area.
It is, and it's all West Orange County, and I have been endorsed by the elected leaders in West Orange County. I've been endorsed by Commissioner Larry Brinson of Ocoee, Commissioner George Oliver of Ocoee, Mayor Kathy Stark of Oakland, Commissioner McMullen of Oakland, and Commissioner Sal Ramos of of Oakland. So these are people who know the community, who know the needs of the community, and who know the person that they can call on to help them address the needs that they're also working on.
Yes, one thing that I have learned is the power of partnership gets the job done. And to hear those relationships in the other communities should be a good push for a person that is trying to determine who they want to be in that seat. I know that your work continues and you have lots of things to do. So I am not going to hold you anymore. I want you to get back out there and hit the pavement and do what you do best and what you've been doing for years, to let the voters know that you are there and you're doing the work. Is there any last minute words that you would like to share to our listeners, to our viewers today?
Well, I want people to go vote. Early voting started this week on Monday, the 8th of August, and you'll be able to early vote all the way through August 21st. You don't have to wait until the 23rd. Go early vote. Unfortunately, we're still dealing with COVID, and you don't want to be in long lines. So go now, and you can go to any early voting precinct, and you don't have to live in that community. Go to the early voting site, and then you can vote. You can vote right now. And so I want to encourage people to vote. And in fact, if you requested a ballot so that you could vote by mail, that was my bill. That was the bill I introduced to eliminate absentee ballots. You don't have to show cause. You just request a ballot. You get it, you fill it out, and you mail it back in. Vote by mail was one of my bills, as well as a bill to allow people, many times who live in food deserts, to be able to use EBT cards at farmers markets. That was another one of the initiatives that I took on. And the Groveland Four, these four young men very close to us in the town of Groveland, who were accused of rape. We got exoneration for the Groveland Four. We got compensation for a man who had been incarcerated wrongfully for 22 years. Many of those years he spent on death row for allegedly killing his 7 children. His neighbor, in declining health, confessed that he had asked that she come over and warm food for the children, and she did, and she put poison in the food. All 7 children died, but this man had been wrongfully incarcerated for 22 years. Florida has a wrongful incarceration statute that says that if you prove that you were wrongfully incarcerated, you can get $50,000 per year times 22 years. I was able to get $1.2 million for
Wow.
James Joseph Richardson for wrongful incarceration. And then one of the first bills that I filed was to outlaw female genital mutilation. There are people from other cultures coming in, and that was one of the things that they were doing, was cutting portions of young girls' genitals. And many times that would cause bleeding, hemorrhaging. And so it was definitely a problem that we were seeing. I also filed a bill that resulted in a law that prohibits discrimination against pregnant women in the workplace. You had some instances where, as their pregnancies advanced, women were pushed to the side, given more difficult jobs, hoping that they would quit. If they came back, they did not have seniority. And so that was another bill that I filed. And I also worked to make sure that a Confederate statute was removed from Statuary Hall in Washington, D.C. The statue of Edmund Kirby Smith was removed and was replaced just last month with a statue of Dr. Mary McLeod
Wow.
Bethune. And I
Now
worked
that
on,
is an amazing accomplishment.
yes, those are some of the things that I have worked on over my tenure. And I have the interest, I have the commitment, and I have the enthusiasm to do the job. And no matter how many years you've been doing it, if you lose those things, you're not going to be effective. And it's not dependent on the number of years, but your interest, your commitment, and your enthusiasm.
Yes, if you are tuning in, if you're just tuning in, you have missed a great show. But it's okay, because you can review this live on our YouTube by subscribing. IBA Success, Jennifer Yan Agency. Also, follow the platforms, because all of the interviews that we have done up until now and will continue to do will be in replay on all of our pages and dropped into the groups of the districts of the individuals that are running for seat. All I can say is thank you, because the work is there. You have a long resume of things that you have done and continue to do. So please visit the website to learn more about Representative Geraldine. Definitely share this live, tag a friend, and stay tuned, because today will evolve into more candidate speaking, meet and greets, and hearing the stories, not just through video, but through content as well. Thank you so very much. This has been an amazing experience. Again, for taking the time, for speaking to us, and we look forward to seeing you in person later on this evening.
All right. And have a good afternoon.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.